Welcome everybody. My name is Emily Mance. I'm the fitness program manager over at our Fort Collins, Colorado site. Thanks for joining QFit Release and Recover. So happy to have you guys on. Hope you guys are having a great start to your week so far. I know I am. It's been a busy week, but everything is going great. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to focus on a upper body release. Before we get started, just want to have you guys leave in the chat box. What's the number one area that kind of troubles you the most, whether it's post muscle onset soreness, or maybe it's just some discomfort that you've been experiencing throughout your life, whether it's just because of working at a computer, or maybe you've always had just a little bit of some back discomfort. Just kind of curious what kind of bothers you and what inclines you to come to QFit Release. Maybe it's just because you like to come and you like to learn new things, or maybe it's actually that you are focusing on something that's bothering you. So go ahead, leave it in the chat box if you will, if you don't mind sharing, or you can privately message it to me as well. We're going to be on the ground today. So what we're going to focus on, we're going to do an upper body release. We'll go traps, rhomboids, and then I also want to get into the neck a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with the traps here. Nick has said, personally, my traps from my friends and family, it's neck and lower back. Yep, I will agree with that, Nick. That's one of my trouble areas as well. My traps in my neck area, especially from working at the computer a little bit more than we're normally used to. All right, let's go ahead, keep putting those in the chat box. Definitely want to hear from you guys. What's the number one area that bothers you or that you focus on? So let's go ahead. We're going to start with the traps. What you'll do, you're just going to place that lacrosse ball right on the back of that trap, and you're going to lay down completely on the ground here. Notice I'm kind of in that bridge position. Here, all we're going to do is we're going to add that pressure. You can move your body side to side. Be aware of that spine here. We never want to cross over that spine with the lacrosse ball. So just be conscious of that while we're working through it. Now, if you feel like you need some extra added pressure, that this just isn't enough, go ahead and lift those hips up off the ground to go ahead and add some extra added pressure for you. That'll help really take your body and really add some pressure into that lacrosse ball, just helping you release that area a little bit more. Now remember, when we're moving through these motions and we're moving through this area, if you do find a tender spot, we want to go ahead and hold that pressure, really breathe through it until you feel like the discomfort has dissipated, and then you can continue to roll after that, all right? Those little tender spots are just little knots in your fascia that need a little bit more time and attention than the rest of the area. So go ahead and give your body that and really focus on finding those tender spots. Also, when you find those spots, you can go ahead and take your arm, reach up overhead, and then come back down to the side. That'll also help out releasing that tender area. Just a reminder, we have our satisfaction surveys are going out now. If you'd like to earn some extra Virgin Pulse points, go ahead and fill that out for us. We use these to help us create content for you guys, create classes, programs, and really just improve everything that we're doing for you guys. So we appreciate your honest feedback with that. So go ahead and fill that out. Look for an email from your local program manager. There have been at least 2 being sent out already. So go ahead and fill that out for us. Like I said, we really appreciate the feedback. It's going to help us improve the quality of our content and just the quality of our programs and everything that we do for you guys, whether those are programs, classes, webinars, and so forth. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. Nice job with that. Same thing here. We're just going to place that right on the back of that trap here, and then you're going to add that pressure. You can move your upper body side to side, up and down. Be conscious of that spine. Even though that spine is there and we're not necessarily hitting the lacrosse ball with that, we do want to get as close as we can to that spine. We want to make sure we're getting that entire surface area. So if you're getting close to it, but you're just not close enough, just go ahead and move a little bit closer and make sure we're getting that entire area without actually hitting the spine. Not necessarily going to break any bones, it just doesn't really feel good. So just be conscious of that while we're going through it. Oh man, I have a lot. I always call these when you can feel them and you can hear them. I know I'm not crazy. I've had people tell me that they hear it too. And for me, it sounds like little crunchies, like almost like you're crunching on some chips or some Cheetos. I don't know, whatever your favorite snack is. That's kind of what it sounds like. And you can really feel it too when you get on those areas. And now you might not have those areas. I'm just super tender and sore from playing some pond hockey and some skiing this past weekend. So I'm super sore and tender here. So really feeling it on this left trap. I'm just gonna hold that pressure, really breathe through it. I'm gonna add in some arm movements to help work out that area as well. You'll notice the difference between left and right as well. One area might be more tender than the rest. And that's just something to take note of. Definitely gonna have to go back and do this later on, release some more stuff for myself, take a little break from work. These classes are great just because they do break up your day, 10, 15 minutes. If you can allocate the time, it does help. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the rhomboids. So rhomboids are located in between your shoulder blade and your spine. So there's a muscle in between that area. And so what we'll do is you're going to place the lacrosse ball just on that area, all right? So again, we'll break it up left and right because we never want to cross over that spine. So I'm going to place it on my right rhomboid here. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a nice big hug because I deserve it, you deserve it, of course, but it also helps open up that area. So it allows the lacrosse ball to get in that rhomboid and allows the shoulder blade and the spine to kind of move away from that lacrosse ball to really allow it to get into that rhomboid and do its thing there. Now remember, you do have that spine and that shoulder blade, so be careful doing your movements side to side here. Slight movement side to side, and then up and down is always good, or just holding that pressure, all right? Remember, it's really all up to you. You control the amount of pressure here. It kind of depends on your body, it depends on how sore you are, and all of that kind of stuff. So really focus on tuning into your body and figure out what it needs and what it doesn't need here, and then kind of customize your release from there. Again, if you need some extra added pressure, just like how we were in the traps, you'll just lift those hips up off the ground into a bridge position, and that'll help take your body more into that lacrosse ball.
Emily, this is my favorite out of the release movements for the rhomboids, laying on the back. What does that do when you're giving yourself a hug? What is that helping with when you just do regular versus, wrapping yourself around?
Yeah, so wrapping your arms around is really just going to allow your shoulder blade to kind of move out of the way. So kind of when you have your arms down here, you can kind of feel your shoulder blade go down and back. I mean, for me, that's kind of how it works. And so when I kind of open up this way, it allows my shoulder blade to move out of the way and allows the lacrosse ball to get into that muscle area rather than hit that bone. Good question. This is definitely one of my favorite techniques. It's great on the wall as well, but I like to do it on the ground just because I feel like I can control the pressure a little bit more. It's also, you get a little break on the ground. So that's always nice. But yeah, giving yourself a hug, always feels great, but it also just helps allow yourself to open up and really let that lacrosse ball get in that region. Good question. Thanks for asking that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely feel it when you open up.
Yeah, totally. It's great. Let's go ahead and switch sides here. So same thing, just place that lacrosse ball on that rhomboid here, and then give yourself a nice big hug. As always, if you guys have any other questions, just like how Nick did, you can always leave them in the chat box or unmute yourself. I found that I love hearing you guys talk to me when you guys unmute, and it just makes it easier so I can continue to do the release class and kind of answer as we go here. But if you're not comfortable with that, leave it in the chat box, send me an email, whatever you prefer, that is totally fine. Yep, my left side here again is way more tender than the right, which is weird because I was shooting my hockey puck with my right, and I don't know, maybe I slept on it funny a little bit. As always, too, when you leave QFit Release, make sure to drink plenty of water unless you have any restrictions from your doctor. Reason being is when we go in to these areas and those little crunchies and just in general, what we're doing to the fascia, we're breaking up those adhesions. So whether those adhesions are from misuse, so doing movements improper or bad posture, or you might just always have some discomfort for other reasons, stress, anxiety, whatever it might be. What we're doing with this lacrosse ball is we're going in and we're breaking up those adhesions in our fascia. And so those adhesions sometimes they don't allow proper movement. They don't allow blood flow to that injured area. So when we go in with the lacrosse ball, we're breaking those up. And so when you break up, they allow more blood flow to that injured area, allowing it to heal a little bit faster and let you feel a little bit better. So what we need to do with that water is put it into our body and let it flush out our system, right? Got to get those toxins out of us. So drinking a good amount of water is always important here in QFit Release. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the neck. This will be the last area that we're on. I know I'm going over a little bit of time. Probably should have set this class at 15 minutes. But anyways, what we're going to do, we'll break up each side left and right for the neck so that we're never crossing over that spine as always. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that lacrosse ball and you're going to put it just on the side or on the back of that neck. Really, whatever feels good to you here. I'd like to get as close as I can to the spine without hitting it. And then from here, what I like to do is I like to keep my chin to my chest. Reason being, you might be asking, well, why? Kind of like, why were we hugging ourselves? This is going to help open up that area. So if you think about it, if you have your head tilted back, the lacrosse ball only has a certain amount of area that it's going to be able to hit. So instead, if you take your chin to your chest, it's going to help open up that area of that neck muscle, and it's going to allow the lacrosse ball to get into that area. So what I like to do is I like to start either behind my ear or just above the trap, and then I'll work my way up. I do slight movements side to side without aggravating the neck even more, or sometimes I'll even lay on my side. It kind of is all dependent on you and your body and kind of what it needs here. And then from there, depending on whether I started at the top or the bottom, I'm just going to work my way up or down. And so I'll hold that pressure, keeping my chin to my chest. And I'll hold here for anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds before moving to the next area. As always, just make sure to breathe. I know how painful it can be, how uncomfortable it can feel sometimes, but I promise, just like John said in my foam rolling class earlier, it's that good hurt, and that's exactly what it is here at QFit Release. Kind of have to go through the discomfort for a little bit, but after the class, hopefully you're feeling a lot better. Just make sure we're moving that lacrosse ball up or down here, depending on where you started. We want to make sure we're getting that entire surface area. You guys are doing great. We're almost there. Thanks for sticking around. If you did, really appreciate it. We love having you guys on. This is also one of my favorites. My neck is just kind of an area that I hold a lot of stress in my traps and in my neck. So when I'm feeling stressed out, that's usually the areas that are bothering me. And so this is one of my favorites to do. We're going to do another 30 seconds on this side before we go ahead and switch to the last side. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. So again, you're going to place that lacrosse ball on that neck muscle, either at the top, just behind the ear, or at the bottom, just above the trap, and then we'll work our way either up or down here. Remember to breathe nice and easy. I know sometimes this can really take your breath away, depending on how sore and how tender you're feeling. I know sometimes I've worked with clients. Before this, I was a rehab specialist and taught this technique to a lot of people, and I would catch them as I'm teaching them, face to face, would catch them holding their breath, and don't want you guys to pass out or anything, obviously. So just make sure to breathe nice and easy. If you need to, too, go ahead and take a break. You don't have to continue on the whole entire time. If you got to take the lacrosse ball off that area and just kind of breathe, maybe get a drink of water, that's totally fine. And then jump back in with us. Be sure you're moving the lacrosse ball up and down here, really getting all those areas. We got about another 30 seconds. I know I'm way past time already. Don't want to keep you guys for any longer here, but I do appreciate you guys staying on. All right, everybody, come out of that nice and easy. I hope you guys are feeling a little bit better after that. I know I am. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the chat box. If not, see you guys next.